There it
Hey,
is.
there we go.
There it is.
Welcome back to the Talking Average Fitness Podcast. My name is Sam Burns. I'm joined, as always, by my bearded dad bod friend, Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
We are riding the lightning, Sam.
We
As
are,
per always.
as per usual.
As per usual.
Right?
Life in EMS,
Yup.
all that fun jazz.
It's like having children. You never sleep.
It's
Stress
ah,
hormones through the roof.
well, it's just been the last 2 weeks. Dispatch has been mean on my 24-hour shifts. They're like, no sleep for you.
Yeah.
We've
You gotta
gotten
get.
like 2 hours of sleep
Damn.
the last 2 weeks.
Damn.
But like wrap up our like last call for the night, like 3 a.m. Get back to the station, get to sleep, and then like 5:30 something happens, and then they're like, call us again. And when the phone goes off, is the most jarring. Like as
Mm-hmm.
soon as that phone goes off the first
Mm-hmm.
time, like in the station, you are wide awake instantly.
Gotta be.
You're like, I was never asleep. It's the most jarring noise in the entire world. It wakes you right up. No
Damn.
need for stimulants.
Yeah.
And then off you go to bring someone to the ER who has a headache.
No, really?
Oh yeah, that was our last one. Last on Friday, it's 5:30 a.m. Little old lady had a headache, and it was dispatched to us hot as like head pain, and we were like, oh, like someone hit their head, like
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
something's going on. We get there, and she's just on her porch. Hey, ma'am, I like, did you call 911?
Yeah.
Yep. Like, all right, what seems to be a problem? I just have a headache. I'm like, you're gonna hit me with that again. So one more time.
Yeah.
I have a headache. All right, fine. And then you go through like your whole thing of like how long it's been going on,
Yeah.
when did it start? Like you go through like medical history, like
Yeah.
you're diabetic. Do you have you not eaten recently or whatever? So like take all of her vitals, like everything was within range. She'd had a headache for a day and decided I'm going to the ER to get this checked out. Best part was we get her to the ER. I like call entry note to the ER. We get her there. We
Yeah.
get her in, and the ER like no doctors or nurses to be found, just like one administrative person. I'm like, what in the fuck? This is Beverly. This is
Yeah.
the ER on the North Shore. What are we doing here?
Right.
You poke your head like past the administrative area, and there's a trauma bay on the right
Oh no.
with like two medics and all staff. Compressions are happening. I need 10 how many milligrams is this? I was like, oh, it's
Some shit's
happening.
going down.
It's happening. And then we have our patient with a headache. And so like the administrative person, like, we get all checked in, and then we were like, yeah, just like, do you have, because sometimes they'll have like listed out like, which rooms are open, and they'll just be
Yeah.
like, pick a room. So we're like, do you have a room or a bed that we're gonna bring this person to? And I'm like handling paperwork, and Adam is getting, my partner is like getting, he was doing something with a stretcher, either like moving up or down, so like be more
Mhm.
stable. And she goes, I'll find out. I figured that meant I'm gonna check the list, the computer. This administrative person
No.
walked into the trauma bay,
No.
asked someone about a room for a patient with a headache, and as soon as like out of the corner of my eye, I was like, wait, no, no.
No.
she was already
No, no, no,
going to
no,
the room.
no.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, someone's dying in there, and you're like, yeah, I got someone with a headache, got a room for her.
Yeah,
And I
but
was
where do
like,
we put this person?
I was like, honestly, we can wait. It's okay.
Wow.
It's oh my gosh, that was something. That was a fun Saturday morning.
Okay.
I was on that same shift. I had my first patient die on the stretcher, so it was a fun shift last week.
Well, that's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Sam's juice to the gills, guys. He's lost in the sauce.
as we make the world's most abrupt topic change.
Yeah, hey, life in EMS, it's all fun and dandy. Sam's juice to the gills. So
Sam's juice to the gills. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. First of all, tell us what you're on. What you got?
So I'm on testosterone. I've been prescribed
1,000 milligrams of testosterone a day.
Oh my god, no. It's so anticlimactic.
What's the dosage per week?
Per week, it's 50 milligrams per week.
Oh, that's not really wild.
No, it's really not wild. Um,
No.
but depending on so it's a weird combination of medications. So but not weird if you kind of look into it. So um first of all, I don't have a dealer. StreamYard, don't fucking cancel this because we're talking about drugs. Like, I was prescribed this by a doctor. And when this goes to YouTube, I was prescribed this by a doctor. So,
Yeah.
keep your fucking paws off.
This is medical advice. Everyone should listen to this.
Oh God, I hate you so much. Like, no, all of those things, not. Um, so I'm on two medications. I'm on testosterone, and then I'm also on a medication called Clomid or enclomidine.
Okay.
Um, and are you familiar with either of those?
I like somewhere in the archives of my brain, I
Sure.
know what clomidine does.
Yep.
Um, I off the top of my head don't remember.
Sure.
But testosterone is just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Obviously.
yeah.
Um,
No,
so
testosterone supports a whole bunch of stuff aside from just getting absolutely jacked. Like Sam isn't doing this just to like because he wants to not fit into his pants anymore.
mhm.
Um, he's
Uh,
like I said, well, that's fun side effect maybe. Um, as Sam sent me a video of him just demolishing his quads the other day.
oh, sissy squats, but also really good for knee health. So, like,
Very good,
very good for
very good.
knee health.
Like bulletproof steer. That's how I like a good portion of how I rehabbed my
Hmm.
meniscus.
Yep.
Was doing a bunch of sissy squats,
Yeah.
bulletproof my knees.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, so you're taking those two.
Yeah.
What prompted the doctor prescribed juicing to the gills?
So it's interesting. Like, I probably spend more time than the average bear paying attention to what I eat, paying attention to how I'm training,
Mhm.
trying to optimize myself and like my health and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. And so this is the um this has come at the end of like a not at the end of, but like I've been in this process of like health optimization for like it's 2024 now, so like almost 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Carry the two, divide by
Yeah.
pi.
Yeah, I remember we were in our apartment, we were in our condo, so I think it was 2021. Um, and we the idea is like, okay, so let's be as healthy as possible. I hate doctors. And so it's been a lot of
Agreed.
yeah.
I like and like even more so. Not I shouldn't say more so.
No,
More
so
so like more so now that I actually work in healthcare
yeah,
and you kind of see firsthand some of the
yeah.
stuff that goes on behind the scenes and you're like, ah, it's all sorts of fucked.
Well,
But
and also like don't get me wrong, like I had birth defects when I was born. Like I had specialists who saved my life and
he
like
was
made it so I could
born too beautiful.
yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I had specialists who saved my life who, without whom you're so incredibly lucky. These two doctors, without their knowledge, I might not be physically the way I am. Like, I might not be physically okay. And I was born in Portland, Maine. They both just happened to be stationed at Maine Med. It's a
Mm.
fucking wild, wild chance. So doctors are wonderful, but not so great at the optimizing of health. Maybe good at like the saving of lives and things like that.
Well, we come
Um,
back to the original analogy from Greg, right? Like
yeah,
the affiliates are a lifeboat, where it's like if you are currently drowning, you don't need a swim coach, you need a lifeguard.
right.
But if you're not drowning, you should have a swim coach so you can learn how to swim.
Yeah,
Um, and it is a basic analogy to distinguishing between healthcare professionals and coaches and affiliates
right.
and all that. So, and I think that really is a true thing. Like
Mhm.
what doctors are doing, this may be a bold statement, but I'm going to say it. Doctors shouldn't give health advice, like in terms of like health stuff that you should do like outside the gym, like your diet and your nutrition and your training and all that fun stuff. I think there's general guidelines that you can kind of throw out there, but they don't specialize in the
No.
optimization of those things, and especially digging into like pulling out the tiny little stories of each individual person
Yeah.
that's needed to optimize those things. Because what's needed for Sam to be optimal is different than what's needed for me,
Yeah.
just because we're two separate human beings with two very different sets of physiology. You know, Sam has the physiology of a Greek god.
Huh.
Meanwhile, I'm this peasant over here, just wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. Him over there is hefty, hefty, hefty.
Whippy, whippy, whippy.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with that. Hefty, hefty, hefty.
Amazing. Amazing. No, so the Greg Glassman called it the 5 buckets of death. You know, you've got so it's the 5 ways in which people die, and you can kind of group them. So it's genetic, kinetic, microbic, toxic, and then chronic. And everything except chronic, if you exclude chronic, all of those things are things you can't control. So like kinetic, you're in a car accident. You
Yep.
can't diet your way out of that. Like you need a doctor. Toxic, you get exposed to
If I only had a
radiation,
protein shake.
right? Like you can't BCAA your way out of like, you know, uranium poisoning. So like toxic is out of the way.
Yeah.
You like all of those other ones, those really is where the doctors shine. So when we get into
Yep.
chronic conditions and avoiding chronic conditions, all of that is pre doctor's office. So I've been
Yep.
working with a functional medicine doctor, Julie Fouché. Julie Fouché is my doctor.
Oh,
And
really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
fucking yeah, she's my doctor. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a really, really cool experience. And I feel like I have a really good image of what happens when I'm on a diet, what happens when I'm not on a diet, what happens when I'm training regularly, what happens when I'm not training regularly. And not just like how do I feel, but like what does my fucking blood work say? Like what happens to
Exactly. Yeah.
my HDL, LDL, what happens to my cortisol, like all those other things. So I have been, especially for like the last 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
really locked in terms of eating well and training well. And there's a handful of things that before you get into testosterone or hormone replacement therapy that you can do to move the needle on your testosterone availability. The
Mm-hmm.
first is you got to get good sleep, right? Um,
Yep.
for a guy
Whoops.
for a guy with 2
Later.
toddlers, I do pretty good. Like
Yeah.
almost every night is 7 hours or more. So
I think that's great, honestly.
it's we've set our lives up. Sleep is very important. Like sometimes you can't control it. The kids have a bad night, but like we're
Yeah.
at the age now.
Life happens.
Absolutely. So it's
Life
controlled
happens.
as well as it will be. Um,
Yep.
I eat an appropriate amount of protein for my activity
Mm-hmm.
level and for my size and sex.
Yep.
I regularly train and
Mm-hmm.
primarily resistance training, whether that be
Mm-hmm.
strength focus, hypertrophy focus, whatever. There's always something that's resistance training about it.
Yep.
I do regularly get my heart rate up, right? So I'm doing both of those sides of it. Um, and then I'm eating, you know, I'm not avoiding, I'm not cutting fats out entirely. You know, you need to have a healthy amount of fats for normal hormone function.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not jacking the shit out of my insulin. So I've done all those things and I've done them very consistently. I can pull up in my chronometer and show you week after week after week after week of hitting, you know, where my macros need to be. My training log is all set. And then with all of those things, all of my numbers, you look at my blood work, my numbers look great,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of my hormone levels. And so,
What was your testosterone at when you before you were on hormone replacement therapy? Because there's like a range that's
yes,
considered normal.
yes.
Um,
So it's a range. A normal range is it's measured in nanograms
like
per deciliter.
yeah, it's
Normal
like
range is
200 to 800, isn't it?
no,
Something like
it's like
that.
300 to 800.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I was off by.
So
Okay,
so 300
I
to
knew
800.
800. I knew 800 was the
Yes.
top end. So
Yes,
300 to 800 is normal.
is normal. And like to put that into context, like you are you know, like a 21-year-old fit male would be
Mhm.
800 plus. An international like an IFBB pro bodybuilder with exogenous hormone supplementation, like they're juicing the shit out of themselves, would probably be closer to like 5,000.
Yeah,
Like
I was
it's
gonna say four to five
ridiculous number.
thousand, but like
Yeah.
just stupid. Which yeah. Um,
So it's about a
I just want to put
500.
like this
Go
little
ahead.
note in there about like the normal range is like just because there's a normal range doesn't
Mhm.
mean that like 800 is optimal for everybody. It's
No,
not like,
no.
okay, the goal is to get everybody to 800 nanograms because that's the like where you're maxed out and you're good.
Yep,
It's like that's the range that is clinically considered normal. And then within there, Sam has his own personal range
yep.
that's like optimal for him,
Absolutely.
different for optimal for me, different for optimal for whoever. So just want to
Yeah,
like throw that out there that the goal isn't let's get Sam to 800 nanograms and then he's good
and
to
then I'm good to
go.
go. Yeah. No, it's the doctors are very, very clear. Like there's the measurement is a reference range. We are looking, to make sure that we measure it because we have to make sure that like, hey, your body's responding, right? But more
Mm-hmm.
important than that is how is your sex drive? How is your
Mm-hmm.
energy level? How well do you recover after workouts? Does your body remain beat up for several days, or do you feel yourself better able to recover? Brain fog and focus or inability to focus are being recognized as um, associated
Markers
traits of
for
low testosterone. Exactly. So, like, do you feel a higher degree of motivation? Do you feel better able to focus in on something and complete, your tasks and things like that? So, range is 300 to 800. At my best, I was hitting 280
prior to
prior
okay,
to supplementation. Prior to supplementation,
cool.
and so
All right.
and it's a whole fucking process. This whole thing because the DEA regulates the shit out of this.
Of
Um,
course.
of course they do. So I
Oh,
so I went and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I've first of all, like, I'm not going to have any more kids. So
yeah.
me and Katie, we got her to like because if you supplement with exogenous testosterone, it sends a signal to your testes being like, oh, we're done. Okay, cool, and they just stop. They stop functioning. So like fertility becomes a major issue. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're that's all set. Um, I did a confirmatory blood panel, met with like a second doctor, a second confirmatory blood panel, because you have to get the blood panel before the doctor will meet you. You meet with the doctor, review the initial test results. If the doctor agrees that you're a good candidate, the DEA requires you to do another blood panel, like just to make sure. And so I went and I did it and got the results back. Yep, you're good. You're all set. And so now my injections are 25 milligrams uh, twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
um, shallow intramuscular injection. And
Mm-hmm.
then I do 28 milligrams of enclomidine or
Mm-hmm.
clomid. And the purpose there is so again, if you supplement with exogenous testosterone, it shuts your testes off, right? So it can severely harm normal testicular function, normal, like whatever's built in for me.
Mm-hmm.
Clomid upregulates luteinizing hormone. And so
Mm-hmm.
in your brain, luteinizing hormone is the thing that tells your pituitary gland to tell your testes to do more things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Clomid is something that's prescribed, for example, if men are having fertility issues and they need to get testicular function like happening, they will be prescribed Clomid because Clomid goes luteinizing hormone up, luteinizing hormone talks to pituitary talks to testes do their thing. So the
Mm-hmm.
goal is with this 1-2, I one make more testosterone available because I'm supplementing exogenously. But then also two, I
Mm-hmm.
preserve my natural hormone and testicular function
Okay.
through taking Clomid. And so we're offsetting, and it also it can prevent things like um uh, gynecomastia. Is it gynecomastia? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's for, like with a inflammation of your chest
right. And
area.
part of the reason is if you up the testosterone, your body's like, oh, I got to balance it out, and will up
Yeah.
estrogen.
Balance out estrogen. Yeah.
One of the things that Clomid does is it down regulates estrogen
Mm-hmm.
estrogen receptors in the brain, and that's part of
Mm-hmm.
how it tells luteinizing hormone to bump up.
Nice.
So what is
So
it? So what is it now? I have no idea. The protocol is we you take it for a series of months, you do a blood work and a checkup. I would not be surprised if I end up going up after this. I, you know, could easily probably, yeah. I mean, I do, partially because of the training that I'm doing, like it's a little bit easier in my body. So it's a little bit easier
Yeah.
to recover from. Um,
Mhm.
but also partially from this, like I do notice fewer aches and pains in the sense that like, um, just the like being 40 and rolling around with kids and stuff like that, like that adds up. Um,
Yep.
and so there is an apparent little bit of assistance there from the testosterone, so that's really awesome. Um, but from like a overall feeling standpoint, I definitely want to. There might be a window in the next like month where like the serum concentration levels in my blood start to rise, and so like on the average, there's a higher free testosterone or total testosterone level in my body, and so I might feel more effects once that happens. But currently, I would say whatever's the next protocol where we bump to like, if I'm at 25, we go to 50 or something like that. I would probably do that. You know.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting, the whole
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I'll coach you CrossFit Games,
Ha,
Masters CrossFit Games 2026. Let's get some.
you
Give you a year
know,
to train.
you
Give you a year to
know,
train.
I don't CrossFit Games, man. So what's interesting about this?
I don't know. They're all getting popped for PEDs now. So
Everybody's
what was what
popping.
was what was the dude's name? I forget. It just came up that like he already did a 4-year sanction for popping positive. He came back to competition,
Yeah.
pop positive again.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
But then you look at the picture and like I never want to judge people based on how they look because there are some genetic freaks out there. You have like
Absolutely.
Marcus Philly, who's just like Marcus.
And like, not
But
only is he a genetic god, but like he's trained like a fucking machine
yeah,
for
and eaten like a fucking machine. Anyways,
absolutely.
it's like you have some of those genetic freaks, but also like muscle size is a horrible predictor of who's on something and who's not.
Mhm.
Just because if you're a shorter athlete, and I'm just going to use Matt Fraser an example, like Matt
Sure.
Fraser will always look more muscular than Brent Fikowski, just because Brent is 6'2"
Right.
and Matt is 5'2".
And to be clear
So
about that, we're talking about limb length. You could fit the same amount of muscle on a shorter, you know,
yeah,
femur and it will look
yeah,
bigger.
it's going to look much bigger just because same amount of muscle, but it's less distance, so
Yes.
it's thicker. So you're
Yes.
going to look more muscular. So you have that as a factor. Genetics play a factor. How they train, how long they've trained
Mhm.
is a factor. All that fun jazz. But this dude that just popped positive again, I can't remember his name. There was a picture of him from when he first popped positive, and then a picture of him now. And he's like twice the size. And like back then, he was already a games athlete. And I'm like, dude, you don't just do that.
Morning
I don't
Chalk Up
know.
had to have
Like,
this.
I know it was on Hiller's page at one point.
Was it on Hiller?
Hmm.
I search. Uh Hiller.
But it's like, but the other part of it is like, this stuff doesn't just magically make you jacked either. Like, you still have to put in the fucking work.
Right?
So it's like, it's not like Sam is just going to become 240-pound wall of muscle in the next month. But
What is this?
Sam will probably need to be buying some new pants.
I mean, I don't know about is this guy. Is this the guy who
Maybe.
won the Battle of the Bay? Is this the guy with the trident?
So, yeah.
That guy. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it now. um,
Yeah. What's his face?
who the fuck knows?
I don't know.
Let me see.
Um,
It doesn't tell me.
anyways.
Anyway, but
Anyways.
yeah, it's the more and more I pay attention to this. Like, first of all, I can't do the Open this year because I'm in violation of the drug policy. And like,
Like, I don't know. And I get it. Like, but the amount of this is gonna sound terrible, but the amount of people who are on stuff
I
in
know,
the CrossFit space trying to make it to the games,
I know.
and they're still doing it, and like, it's like, I don't want to phrase this because like I've got conflicting feelings about it because there's part of me that's like, okay, Sam is on something, like
Yeah.
that's technically cheating. However, Sam's motives to do the open is just to throw down, be a part of the community,
Mhm,
test his fitness, kind of
mhm.
like see how he stacks up year after year after year, talk some trash, whatever.
Sure.
Um, so it's like that, like even if you are supplementing testosterone, like your intentions are not, I'm trying to cheat to win a competition.
Sure.
You're doing it for your health.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like that's different than I want bigger biceps so I can do more chest to bar pull-ups, you know. That's I'm saying that as like a joke that's stupid, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's
No, I
different than like
do.
I'm taking all these things to try and go to the games or try and break into semifinals or whatever it is. Um, it's I don't know. I think the like if you were to do the open, I wouldn't have
Right.
a problem with you doing the open. Just throw that out there. Like even as a competitor
Yes.
against you, I wouldn't have a problem with you doing the open. Um,
I
but
on it
also
honest
like you
what
can, if
I
you
mean,
really
I don't
want to, you can fill out that therapeutic exemption form.
oh, wow, they have one of those? See things I've never thought
Yeah,
about before. Look at me.
yeah.
Um,
You can get a therapeutic exemption. You basically just fill out a form. You might have to have your doctor sign off on it, which the fact that your doctor is Julie might make that a lot easier for you. But like you have your doctor sign off, like yes, this person needs this for their health, and then
yeah,
you submit it to CrossFit, and then they either approve or disapprove based on whatever it is.
yeah.
Um, but also, I'm sure like, and this again is going to sound terrible, but I'm sure when you put in the application for a therapeutic exemption, because there may be people who do this that are like open quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever level athletes they put in their therapeutic exemption, and CrossFit looks at it and goes, needs this for the health. And they look at their place on the leaderboard and go, and there's,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
might sound terrible, but I'm sure it's something that happens when they're like, you know, whoever says they need this inhaler for their breathing, and then you look at the
right.
main ingredient in the inhaler and you look at the list and you go,
Yeah.
someone may be trying to pull a fast one there, but
You
who
know,
knows?
I wonder about that stuff. I mean, I wonder and I don't wonder, but like, wow. So, I mean, relative to me, um, it'll be interesting to see like where I'm at because it's November right now. It'll be interesting to see where I'm at in
It is.
February. Um,
Oh, I can't wait.
well, and also like I've stepped away from CrossFit and I'm doing essentially pure hypertrophy training right now, which is a whole other ball game. We talked about that a little bit last week. Um,
You have a good foundation of like joint health and structural strength for when you try to smash yourself again.
dude, I I got reached out to by the local affiliate that I go to sometimes, and the guy was like, "Hey, we're doing a friend week, and just like swing by, come like do a work." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, fuck it." And I went in, and it was partner triple Isabel, so 4 time with a partner, um, 90 snatches at 135.95.
Oh my god!
Now
What the fuck?
I haven't snatched in I don't fucking know how long. And the
Then RX
pre-workout
Plus and did 185.
no, no. So, okay, so for context, I think the
Yeah.
last time I did a 1 rep max snatch, it was 185 or 190. Um, and the pre-workout or the strength session beforehand was build to a heavy triple power snatch. And I built to a triple at 165. And so I that was very surprising and felt really
Yeah,
good.
it's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool stuff.
And
And I'm sure your
my
shoulders and hips and everything felt better.
so much better. Dude, my my
Good, man.
my shoulders, my elbows, my what have I
That's the big
noticed?
one. Cause I'll get it. I'll get it like in here.
Mm,
Feels like someone just took a knife and one of those. If I had a lot of
it's
snatches
not that so much for
or a
me.
lot of
It's
pulling.
yeah, like it can, like if I do a lot of pulling, I don't feel like I've got great um like it feels really strained, like it's like
Mm,
fragile, like like right where the bicep meets at the elbow here. Um
mm.
and so the hypertrophy work has been so great for just like super slow strengthening all of that stuff. And then on top of that, because I've never done pure hypertrophy work, I have made more mass gains in the last 8
12
weeks,
weeks, 8 weeks.
8 weeks than I have, I think, in the last 5 years of CrossFit.
Well, 'cause it's different, right?
It
Like
is. It's
it's in
100%
in
different.
cross in CrossFit, and if you look at again when you use examples like games athletes and they're
Yeah.
very muscular, it's like if you look at most of their training most of the year, actually not what gets posted on Instagram,
Yes.
it's a lot of accessory stuff and a lot of lifting. They
Yeah.
maybe do like one Metcon per day, maybe it's a zone two session. You usually basically do like one conditioning piece
Mhm.
per day, maybe two if you're feeling frisky and you're a good responder to volume,
Yeah.
because some people are. Um, but then the rest of the training is lifting and accessory, which the accessory work is like the hypertrophy stuff.
Yeah.
You're doing sets of 12 Bulgarian split squats, and I want to kill myself. Um, um, yeah, but that's most of it. Is you're lifting. You may like it might be like an Olympic lift. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
like I'm gonna kind of paint a picture of a session here, right? Is like, you know, heavy clean and jerk
Mhm.
singles, heavy front squats, heavy clean pulls as like your heavy lifts,
Yeah.
and you do accessory. You do some hip extensions and single leg hamstring work. You do some midline work and some shoulder work, and like that's all hypertrophy. Where you're doing like 4 sets of six
Mhm.
to 20 reps, depending on what it is you're doing
Mhm.
and how it's supposed to serve you. And then like at some point during the day, you do your one conditioning piece, and like
Yeah.
that's the majority of the season for most of these athletes. They're not doing 6 metcons a day. Like
My
that's
God, no.
games prep. But like you'll do 3 or 4 for games prep in that like 6 weeks, 8 weeks prior to the games.
Mhm.
But apart from that, most of it is the one conditioning piece, and
Yeah.
same through the open because like
Yeah.
the open is just a test of like the one workout. So it's like that's what it is, and that's how they can get muscular whilst doing CrossFit. But if you're and it's not to like say CrossFit's not great, but if you're just going to the gym and you're doing your one Metcon per day,
Mhm. Mhm.
5 days per week, 1 day, training the way you should,
Yep.
the goal isn't necessarily to build more muscle. If you're coming from a background of I did nothing and now I'm doing something, then
Mhm.
you will put muscle onto your frame, but you're not going to be like this hulked out,
No.
massive human being unless you focus on it because the
Yeah.
focus isn't let me control the contractions. And as we know, we've talked primary and like muscle hypertrophy is time and attention.
So much.
So it's like you're not in CrossFit when you're doing Isabel, you're not focusing on your time on attention on your pull on your 20 like fuck me sideways, get this bar over my
Yes.
back as possible. Um, and it's like as much as that builds capacity, it's not building muscle.
Yeah. Your signal's a little popping in and out, but we'll deal with it. You might be totally frozen. I might be frozen. This will be interesting. See who's frozen. I think the recording says you're frozen, but we'll see in a second here. Well, I'm just going to keep talking. So, yes. So everything feels a lot better. There's definitely some size gains that are happening. And, that's, of course, coupled with a diet that supports that. Um, so in addition to exogenous hormone supplementation, I also um, upped my diet by I mean, this is the first time I haven't been on a cut in 6 months, 8 months. Kevin's gone. We'll see if he hops back in. First time I haven't been on a cut in 6, 8 months, and now I'm at 3,200 calories every day. And a lot of food, but also like weight's going up, muscle mass is going up, body fat percentage is staying relatively the same. There are a little bit of additions to body fat, total body fat, but um, we'll give Kevin about a half minute to pop back in. Maybe we lost him, maybe you're not. But short version, yes, I'm on steroids. No, it's nothing insane. They are prescribed by a doctor. It'll be very cool to play with what this feels like and what we end up doing with it long term. And it will be interesting to see what the changes end up feeling like, in 2, 4, 6 months, 8 months. That will be very, very cool, but very excited, very hopeful, and hoping that there are some serious long-term positive effects. And if anyone is listening, if you're a guy, I will only speak to the male sex because it's the one I understand at this point. But um, if you're a guy and you have questions about hormone supplementation, I can tell you about my experience, and I can tell you who I talked to and where I learned my information and stuff like that. So if you have those, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I don't think Kevin's coming back, so we're going to call it. Thanks so much for being here, everybody, and we will talk to you all next time we do this. And between now and then, I don't know, get swole and eat right and don't do drugs except testosterone.